Gizzi, how are you today, mate?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm sort of like a bit discombobulated at the moment because we launched this show last night, and I'm sort of like managed to I'm opening a restaurant at the moment, which is two sites. So we're one site down. Now we've done the show launch, and now I've got one site to go. So discombobulated is probably the correct word, I
Is
think.
that a clever word for spinning plates?
It's kind of, yeah, spinning plates, but not like with your eyes crossed, I think is what it actually means.
Right, well, look, let's just touch on the show first before
So
we move into some songs and stuff. So, you launched a show today. Tell us all about it.
the show's called Messy Lunch. I mean, I can't quite believe it's very much pinch me moment where I'm sort of getting to go for lunch with all of my favorite bands. It's really nice. So like, I saw a sort of like space in the London restaurant scene where I was just thinking, there's so many things where people are looking at pop music or grime. And I'm really sensing, I live with somebody who's in a band that are sort of really making waves at the moment. And all my friends are in indie bands or alternative bands. And suddenly everyone's back in business. And I think like it's the same thing for the London restaurants. I'm sort of observing London restaurants, and we've gone through this awful time in the same way that like lots of gig venues are closing, loads of restaurants have closed recently, but then actually there's loads of new openings as well, and I feel the same, for music too. And I'm just like, I want to get behind that. I want to see what I can do to support both London restaurants and like guitar music, well, not just guitar music but indie music.
And I mean, you've started pretty big, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fuck about. We basically, I like my first one is Graham Coxon from Blair, who is in a band called The Wave with my best friend Rose Dougal, who is a singer-songwriter and is with people like Baxter Jury and Mark Ronson, and she was in a band way back in 2007, a proper indie sleaze one called The Pipettes.
Paul Shapes is a tune,
Isn't
mate.
it cute? Oh my God, she hates it. It's so fun. I love it. Anytime Rose comes around here and we get drunk, I make her dance to it, but she's like, oh, like kicking her toes around, going, I don't want to do it. But yeah, so it's sort of like it all started because I do a roast dinner here, right? And so Rose and Graham were over and Baxter was coming over. And then I had Mike Vigilante, who's going out with my friend Kate from the Hives, were also coming over. And it was like, should we just like do something like this on telly, basically? And everyone was like, well, if you do it, we'll come on it. I was like, okay. So I mean, to be honest, it's been an idea in the making for years. Like me and Pearl Lowe, Danny Goffey's wife, and Pearl was in a band.
I had Danny on about a month and a half ago.
Did you? Well, I've known Danny and Pearl forever. They've kind of like been two of my closest friends since the beginning. And Pearl, and I went around to Pearl's house, and similar thing about 20 years ago. Like she had like, God, who was over there? I mean, it was an absurd line of people. Um, and and she basically was like, we should do something like this together. Because I was just cooking. I met her at a photo shoot and was cooking at her house. And yeah, it just sort of like that's kind of where it started off from, but we kind of like both went our separate ways with it. But it sort of like just ended up here. I just thought, do you know what? I actually just really want to do this, so I'm going to actually self-fund it to begin with. But then it's just really gone nuts, and we just suddenly everyone we're putting it out to wants to do it. So initially it was just going to be mates, and now last week I got to do my bloody heroes, like my number one people I would have chosen, which was the Damned, who I don't know, but
Mm.
who are now my new best friends. It's amazing how how connected you can get after having like a 3 hour lunch with someone.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, that's a really nice little tenuous link into the first
Yeah.
question. Because I'm going to ask you now, please, because you tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro.
Yes. So I think New Rose, that sort of beginning of New Rose is just like oof, it's you're straight in, aren't you? And I mean, as much as I love music, I'm totally untechnical. I couldn't tell you what it means. I know there's a lot of drums,
Mm.
and I know that it sort of like just kind of builds and builds and builds, and then you get this sort of crescendo. And when I often look at my friends who love dance music, I feel like, oh, that's what you're talking about when you have like that, the bit when it drops, you know, and I feel like with that song, you get that. I
That's
love it so much. I saw The Damned when it was about 94. I think that was probably one of the very first gigs I saw. And it was at the Marquee Club just before it closed.
yeah,
And my friend, Saturday, she was living on uh bloody one of the roads in Soho anyway, and she was like, right, which went round to her house, and it was just like, I was really young, I was about 14, 15, and she was this like sort of punk goth girl who looked amazing, and I just was obsessed with her. She's like, we're going to this thing, and I got in and I couldn't believe it. And then I just sort of was watching this band on stage, and one of them's a goth, two of them are punks, but like two separate types of punks. Then you've just got the real sort of techie side of it, and then a stage show, and I was just like, fuck me, this is amazing,
yeah.
please take that. I just kind of got up to that point, or my mum had taken me at that point to see Krista Berg or someone like that, and I was like, no, this is what I'm into now.
And so you've been lucky enough. Did you have Dave or did you have the captain? Who come on the
We were
show?
meant to have all of them, so and then last minute, I think probably because they were on such a tight press run, so they were all going to do it, and then last minute they got really too much press, so we had to split them up. So we got Rat Scabies and Paul, and I was just delighted with both of them. I wouldn't have cared. It was like when you're that old, you know all the band, don't you?
Yeah, of
You
course.
know all of them. So I was just delighted to be in. I mean, Rat Scabies has many stories, as you can imagine, and doesn't shut up, but so does Paul.
Yeah.
Like Paul sort of led in with his first story was about sharing a smoked salmon sandwich with David Bowie, and I was like, well, this is brilliant. This is like, what a way to start.
And famously, New Rose, the first ever legit punk single as well. Like New
Hmm.
Rose done it first before the Pistols.
Yeah. So before I interviewed them, I mean, I'd seen that documentary that they'd done. I couldn't believe it was 15 years old. I mean, that album is 50 years old this year, and that's why they're touring. But that was 15 years old, that documentary. Anyway, I watched it again, and you're like, fuck, they really were sort of ripped off, weren't they? Like everyone believed that the Pistols were the band, weren't they,
Yeah.
from the UK? But the Damned are out there at CBGB's doing it with the Ramones and Debbie Harry and Suicide and all of those guys before they kind of like did actually create that moment. And then the Sex Pistols went over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They had such great stories, though. I mean, there were stories about Lemmy, about Courtney Love. Like, honestly, I was just sitting eating. And also, they ate and they love food. And this is the other thing is sometimes people aren't massively foodie, but they were just like, we want good wine. The Rat Scabies is talking about his mission to find, God, I keep forgetting what it's called. The the thing about Mary, oh God, don't worry about it. It's it'll come to me in a bit. But he's like on his mission to do this. So he goes around the world drinking like really good wines, eating local foods. I mean, it's funny. I don't know why I suppose you interview people and you assume a position sometimes, but they were like so fucking smart with loads to say and great anecdotes but also really like loved the eating thing.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Fantastic. And Lisa, when's that out?
That one is out. So we've just done the Graham and Rose one, which came out yesterday. We've got next week it's the Hive. So we've got Mike Vigilante and this amazing pop star. She's not really, she's like from Los Angeles. She's like a punk pop, but she's also in the hardcore scene. So you look at her and her music's kind of like, that same sort of Ramonesy, from what was the Ronnie Spector type thing? You've got that sort of Ronnie Spector punk sort of thing like Debbie Harry did
Oh,
and
well, like the
like
girl
sort of were
group type
influenced
thing.
by. Yeah, but then
Yeah.
also she's fucking playing along with hardcore bands. I mean, we met her because she invited my boyfriend's band, Luxury Apartments, to go on tour with her, and they're more part of the hardcore scene. And
Yeah.
she's just like headlining these shows and going nuts. She's so good fun, amazing to watch. So we got her and Mike Vigilante next week. Then it's Jason from Sleaford Mods, who was also
Nice.
amazing. Such a sweetheart. Very different show. It's kind of like a lot tamer.
Yeah,
And then we got the Damned, then we got the Nova Twins, and then we've got the last three to announce soon. So
nice. Thurrock's Finest, the Nova Twins, Essex girls.
yeah, that honestly, they were just great as
They
well.
they they grew up in my nightclub.
Did
Like
they?
yeah, they were regulars in my place. So
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
they're great. They are.
They're really good, great references, like really mean it, like playing with some absolute heroes as well. But that's what I
Yeah,
mean. It's like you look at that scene and it's happening again, you
yeah.
know. They played at the Amersham Arms the other day, which is where I grew up.
Mm,
And we were talking about some of these venues closing, but she's like, it's also really interesting. There are a lot of openings happening as well.
yeah, yeah. It's quite mad. Like my club's the last nightclub in Essex.
Really? Which
There's
club is it?
It's called the Pink Toothbrush. It's the
Is
longest
that
one in.
yours?
Yeah,
I had no
like
idea.
yeah,
So I spent a lot of time because it's a it was the psychobilly place, wasn't it?
yeah.
So I grew up in that venue. Yeah, it was like the very first.
You used to come with a brush.
Yes, I used to go out with like loads of boys and psychobilly bands. That was like my thing when I was about, well, I guess from like 16 to
Yeah,
25. That was,
I've been there 33 years.
yeah, and then obviously all the horrors as well. They
Of
all started
course.
there as well. I used to
Yeah,
go out with Tom Furs, so
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's mad. I can't believe you've been to
yeah,
brush.
completely mad. I love that place. I need to get back there.
Yeah, because like one of my good pals who grew up in there as well, and I run a podcast magazine with him, a guy called Scroobius Pip, and I see that you've
I
been on
know him
Pip's
really well
boat.
as well.
You've
Send
been
him
on
my
Pip's
love.
show, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about growing up then, so it's fitting that we move on to the next track. And I'm going to ask you, please, Gizzy, to tell me the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
Um, okay, so I don't remember hearing it. I just don't ever remember not hearing it, if that makes sense. So I guess, the song I grew up with would be, well, anything Meatloaf, to be honest. But the one that I love the most would be Paradise on the Dashboard Light. And it's because I love a key change. I got obsessed with, well, my mum's the biggest Meatloaf fan on earth. And, she was a single parent. She had three girls. And every Saturday and Sunday, she would hook us up with, one would have like some Pledge and a duster. And the other one would have the window lean and another duster. And then the Hoover. And we'd all be running around like dancing to and singing like either ABBA or I don't know. I mean, Starlight Express isn't quite the same, but Meatloaf, which was always the thing. And my mum would always cry at certain songs. She just loved the Jim Steinman's writing. We've
Yeah,
been very well educated on Meatloaf. And then as I got older, I guess I saw, I got obsessed with the Rocky Horror Picture Show and obsessed with him in that. But as I got even older, I just think every time I think of something that reminds me of growing up, it's that song. And for that reason, are you joking? Hang on, what is it? I can't
it's a couple
see.
of signed pictures from Rocky.
You're joking. I'm so jealous. Can I have them in your will, please?
Yeah, sure. If you had to pinpoint the emotion, Gizzy, what would it have been?
Like this weird sort of joy of hanging out with my sisters, hating cleaning, just being like, oh, but then knowing that this would be the thing that would get us through it.
Hmm.
And if I did this, I used to be able to get my magazine that I liked, which was on cats or sharks. It was like literally, I'd be like, right, I'm just going to get through this. But then just the singing used to get us through it. But what my mum didn't realize was the sort of like investment of her words about the words of the songs just made me into a absolute, what's the word? I was like completely obsessed with like just romantic lyrics, I guess.
Yeah.
Like and it became, I don't know, I wonder if it did later in life become a bit of a problem.
Was home? I mean, you sort of touched on it there, but was home a musical environment?
Yeah, my mum loves music. She's so just sorry, I'm just realizing, Matt, I need the charger. I'm so sorry. I just realized that we've been trying to fix the laptop and it's worked. It worked. Sorry. Um, I what was the question? Sorry.
How musical was home growing up?
Not musical in the sense that there's a plug over there behind you. Not musical in the sense that we ever could like like Rose, for example, her family are musical. My family are not musical.
Mm.
We love music, but I've never been able to play an instrument in my life.
No, but I mean that question did lend itself to, like, was the radio always on? Was records always
Oh
available?
yeah, like always, 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 always. So we always had something going on, and my mum always took us out to things. I mean, now my mum is like, whether she's going to Glyndebourne or she'll go to see a small gig. Like she would come with us to psychobilly gigs when we were kids. She was really invested. And my mum's been to some serious punk gigs. She doesn't necessarily like it, but
Mm.
she's been. Yeah, so she's sort of had to, like, from a variety of different reasons. One of them is my sister coming home from university and just like with, loads of indie music, really.
Mm.
And so my sister was like really, really big into music. So that's kind of where I got into the style of music I got into.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, my mum loves it. My mum's cheesier than us.
yeah,
But then my little sister's quite cheesy. She likes all of the sort of, I mean, they all go to see all the musicals together and things like
yeah.
that.
Tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
This one was a really tough one, actually, because I think, like everyone, there's sort of when you're developing and you're sort of growing into something. And, I was an enormous, I was into the boy bands when I was much younger. But I think that the band that made me, that reminds me of like sort of skipping school, isn't that terrible? I did a lot of that when I was younger, were Kiss. And I just loved Crazy Nights. Crazy Nights just reminded me of being too young, not really understanding what we were getting up to, just like bouncing around all of the bars and the clubs, or like trying to start bands, just being all
Yeah,
of us being terrible in garages and things like that. And it's definitely a time and a certain friendship group, but they would like, I don't have any bad weird feelings about that time,
mm.
and I think school I hated. I mean, I was incredibly ADHD, and I have very little like I had very little like support in that. And I think I was always told that I was, either hyper distracted or unable to speak. Actually, I think people used to think I was like, not verbally challenged per se, but I just used to be like really introverted,
Yeah,
or I couldn't shut up and I was like bouncing all over the place, and there was no in between with me. And I don't, now it's very clear and obvious what's going on with that sort of stuff. But at the time, I was just somebody who liked painting. I just lose myself in art,
yeah,
and reading as well. I mean, I used to love to read, and I love writing. I found loads of weird stories I'd written. They're actually really kind of amazing. When I was 15. So, like I've always been like really creative and able to lose myself in that. But school was a real struggle. And so there were times when I think of certain things, I'm like, oh no, that was a weird time.
Did you know what you wanted to be?
Um, Well, I wanted to do something creative. I knew that much. Like everyone thought I was going to go to art school. And then I just did this classic thing where they sent people from all the schools and universities around, and I was offered to have a scholarship placement at one of the art schools. And I was just like, "Oh, I don't want to do art if I'm being forced to do it every day." And I'm like, what a twat. But I left school at 15. So I left without well, barely any qualifications, because I left, my father died on my very first GCSE. So I just went straight out and got trashed. A bottle of like white lightning cider, loads of cigs, went down to the Eros because I was a punk. And you know, just like the sort of next 8 months were just a bit of a blur. But I then wanted to be a body piercer, and I worked at a piercing studio in Camden called Cold Steel for like 8 years. And I worked my arse off, and I had such a great mentor who took me seriously and took the job seriously. And I did it over 3 years, and I did pathology courses, and everything that was kind of all these short courses he could send me to. And he gave me such a great sort of working attitude, which I think none of my friends have got really. But then one day I just, and my mum always cooked, and I always looked at her dinner parties and I was like, they're so glamorous. One day I'm going to do that. So by the time I actually moved out of home, which was about 17, 18, I was like, I'd sleep on cookery books to try and get them to impart their knowledge into my head. I read one a night and was obsessed, like in a sort of you know, in a special way, let's say, where it was an obsession. It wasn't anything else. So as soon as that happened, I was like, suddenly it became very apparent what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I want to hear a little bit more about psychobilly because for lots of listeners to this show, it's a bit of a sort of a subgenre, isn't it? And it kind of it was huge in certain places, and there's other people that will have absolutely no idea what it is. And and you're probably the youngest psychobilly fan I've ever met as well.
I'm not that young. I
Uh,
look it, but I'm 46.
but I'm
So
52, and psychobilly was a bit before my time as well.
mm,
And so I want to know how you got into it, and sort of talk about it a little bit because it's a scene that, as of yet, 700 episodes into this show, and
never.
I've never got to talk about the Meteors or King Kurt or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was a street punk, I guess, and I was listening to a lot of Oi and people bands like The Business and GBH and things like that. And but I was really way too young to be hanging out with some very sketchy people who had very bad political ideas. And we used to go to the Intrepid Fox, and that was sort of like an alternative pub, but upstairs it was more sort of goth and industrial, and downstairs it was more punk and metal. So that, but I think a lot of the psychobillies have sort of like gradually come from places like the Pink Toothbrush. And in London, we'd go to Camden, we'd be like the Elephant's Head, the Devonshire Arms, or the Intrepid Fox. And so I was too young to go inside, and we used to sit outside and just people, I think, who were maternal, like young men who were like, just like, this is fucked up. Just literally, a couple of them just scooped us up and were like, you can't hang out with those guys anymore. And we were like, okay. Um, and then just that's how I discovered psychobilly, and they were all in bands. So the two bands which we used to hang out with a lot were the Klingons and Demented Are Go, who are probably still to this day like my favorite band. But then throughout the sort of, I mean, I also used to do the Door of the Wag, so I knew people like
oh,
Phil
okay,
Polcat. Yeah, so me and my best friend both used to do like from a way too young age, but we knew Phil Polcat, and I knew Smeg from King Kurt, and I knew like we're all really good friends now. But that was like they were all really superstars, like real superstars, and I just couldn't quite. They weren't ever going to be my friends actually. And then even the Meteors were like because there was always like fights with the Meteors and the Klingons. So and in New Cross, that was it. We used to go and see everyone in New Cross.
what at the venue?
And huh?
At the venue in New Cross.
At the venue, yeah.
Mm,
And there was always a few fights and stuff like that. But I'm still really good friends with most people, like
yeah,
I still go and see as many things as I can. Um,
fantastic.
yeah, psychobilly is kind of like a tricky one because it's. I still never write anything. I mean, the ADHD means I never write anything down, and I'm always so jealous. Like Demented played a gig just before Christmas, and I really wanted to go. And then there was like a huge festival. I mean, like, look, I know what's happening in the next few weeks. You've got Phil Polcat, just Slim Jim Phantom from Stray Cats, and Neil X. They've got this like super group together that are playing 100 Club on I think the 8th. So I'm definitely going to that.
Superb,
Yeah.
superb. Well, look, let's stay in the formative years for another track, and tell me, please, Gizzy, the first song you remember buying from a record shop.
So, see, this is like again, there's the first one I ever remember getting, but that was sort of my mum going. We got a record player, and they were like, "How take whatever you want to go with it as a free record." And I took Bad from by Michael Jackson, but the one I actually very first time I ever had like an our price voucher that I remember completely like out of my own sensibility to go and getting, and that was Metallica Black,
Mm,
which is such a classic. And I must have been about 15 as well, maybe 14 even. I was young. And
yeah,
then, yeah, because I kind of went from before I was a punk, I was like very much into metal. And then my first boyfriend There's a guy called Lars who was from Norway and he was into black metal. And so I got into that a little bit, but preferred punk. I preferred the sort of rhythm of punk. It was just like a lot more fun.
Yeah,
I mean, I love heavy music, but I also like to have a sing song.
yeah.
So, because I think that that's really where, I don't like music that you can't have a sing to.
What's your relationship like with the record shop now?
Say that again.
What's your relationship like with a record shop now?
Yeah, pretty good. I think I went through a phase of like just wanting to buy the music uh that like old fashioned stuff, well I go through like variety of things. I mean, I used to DJ. I was really lucky. Like Andrew Weatherall used to DJ in the Elephant's Head when I was really young, so I used to sort of like stand next to him and put his records in their sleeves for a bit. I mean, I don't know if he would even remember, but that I did that for a while. I mean, I know he wouldn't now, but he then, and then like, so then I got to understand what a good sort of like 7-inch record was like. So I kind of bought a load, and then I started DJing. Me and Rose Dougal started DJing. I think it's about 12 years ago, and I'm too clumsy, and I was just ruining all these really expensive things, either just like leaving things on the edge or like forgetting them. I mean, I'm just like, so then I just started buying a lot of CDs, and then but rebuying a lot of all of the stuff that I always had,
Yeah,
maybe with the odd song. I mean, I do like the fact. I mean, the one thing I like about the modern world and the way that it is quite sad that we don't have that. Oh God, sorry, I should have off. Apologies. That we don't have that tenable. What's going on? Sorry. Oh, it's a Zoom meeting, right? That we don't have that. Relationship with having a hard copy of anything anymore.
yeah,
And I feel really sort of sad about that. But then I am better at buying things because it's so easy.
yeah, yeah. Totally,
You
totally. And I
know.
do think it's a double-edged sword. I think it is nice to have the tangible bit of vinyl to look at,
Mm.
but the convenience as well. It is a double-edged sword completely.
Yeah, it's sort of like now I'm more likely to be a better friend and buy all your stuff. Like every time I would go and see friends play, I would try and buy like some merch or whatever. But I'm definitely more likely to buy your new song if I can just go online and get
Yeah, of
it. Do you
course,
know what I mean? And I
of
so
course.
it's that sort of thing. But it's a shame because I look at like my boyfriend's band and they're very much sort of like that's sort of very much how they make their money. And um that there is a re sort of vamped idea of but people buying vinyls again for sure,
100%, hundred
although
percent.
maybe I'm just not up for it myself because I'm too scatty and lazy, I think.
Well, I'm really curious to know what your track's going to be for the next one because finding out that you've also partied in my place was a revelation. But from putting Weatherall's vinyl away,
I
whilst he was DJing, it's a pretty fucking cool story. Um,
know.
so, Gizzy, tell me the song that soundtracked your year's clubbing, please.
So my clubs that I used to go to, which you'll appreciate, I spent most of my youth at the Slimelight
Good.
in Angel. So, which was it was an alternative club as well. Sort of upstairs was golf, and then in the middle of the floor was industrial, and there was like a punk room as well. And every time you walked in, there was always like the sort of industrial side of it and the sort of techno side of it. I never really got into. But I went to go and see Pill the other day at Christmas, and I was like, I know this fucking song, and it was Open Up, and I love it. I knew every single word, and I was
Mm.
like, fuck, I had no idea that it was a Johnny Rotten and Left Field collaboration. I had that Left Field
Oh,
album,
you
so
only realised that from seeing
yeah,
Peel at Christmas?
yes. And I
Wow.
don't know how, because I did have that Left Field album. I just
Mm.
don't think I just read between the lines and realised that that's what it was. So I was
Yeah,
like, fucking hell. So that was just such a nice treat to learn that. Um, but yeah, but it reminds me so much. It reminds me of my youth. Like
yeah.
that, walking into Slimelight would either be that or like Hardcore Motherfucker, um, which was a industrial song by can't remember.
Was that by
Um,
KMFDM?
no, but it was one of those ones.
Right.
It was one of it was oh God, I can have a look. Shit, who was it by? Ultraviolence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
So, or all the sort of like it was sort of like just the heavier. Maybe Ministry was playing. I loved Ministry though. I still love
Mm,
Ministry. One of my favorites. But it was like yeah, it was sort of like that song I heard. I was like, fuck, that was an instant throwback.
yeah. Love it. Love it. And that's an absolute banger as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from the club, I'm going to take you home now, and I want to know a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Okay, so this is entirely tenuous because I had to search it. And the most famous, I'm from Dumfries in Scotland,
Hmm.
and I was sort of born in London but moved there when I was 2 weeks old. And the only other person that is from Dumfries in Scotland is Calvin Harris. So it was either this, which is Arab Strap, who I actually do like. I really do like it. The problem with Arab Strap that I have is that one of my ex-boyfriends, who is an absolute piece of shit, loved them.
Ain't it weird how
And
stuff like that can really spoil it
it's
for you?
really a problem. So every time I hear it, I'm like, I've got my heckles up, and I'm like, this is really annoying. But actually, I did re-listen to it the other day, and I was like, okay, no, that is a fucking banger. They've got a lot of bangers. I sort of look at things like Sleaford Mods, or
Mm,
you know, there's a lot of people that like even Ragged Boys and people like that. You think, oh god, it's that tone, isn't it? It's
definitely.
like the real horrible, like sort of like yeah, it's as gnarly as it kind of gets,
Yeah. You can
which
hear
I
the snarl in it, can't you?
yeah. Yeah, and it also stands for a lot of what I believe in, but I can't take that sort of like the reality is I was living in an obscene, that was when we had like a bit of money. I was living in the most obscenely enormous house in Dumfries. It's not the same. As much as I quite like to believe that it was, it's completely not.
Fantastic. Right. So this is meant to be your last track, but we've got a little addendum we're going to put on the end of today's show.
Mm.
But I'm going to ask you now for track 7, which is a song that you think many people may not know that you would like them to hear.
But it's not that I don't think people wouldn't know them. Um, I think it's more that every time I go into like, so I love karaoke. And one of my restaurants, I'm at Mare Street Market now, and in Ireland, we've got this karaoke booth. And every time I've got someone in there, I want to play this song, and everybody knows the other version of this song. Well, the other, basically, it's Erasure, I Love to Hate You. And everyone knows A Little Respect, but nobody knows I Love to Hate You. But I Love to Hate You is like by far the superior song. And I just want everyone to just being able to acknowledge that. And if they could all learn the words for me, just in case we ever meet, and we could do karaoke together.
I'll tell you what, Gizzy, that's got to be a date, right? Because I'm telling you, I'm obsessed with Erasure, right?
Me too.
Absolutely obsessed. Vince Clarke is, he grew up, his first gigs with Depeche Mode were in the Brush. Like, yeah,
Really?
of course, Depeche Mode were a resident band. They're from Basildon, so they're like literally
So I
next door
didn't
to
know
Rayleigh.
this. I did
And
know that actually. Graham, I was with Graham and he told me that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He said that he used to go to the Pink Toothbrush and see Depeche Mode.
oh, love it, love
Yeah.
it. But I look back, I used to put on club nights at the Queen of Hoxton in Shoreditch. And,
Really?
and,
Have we met before? This is insane if we've not met.
So the clubs I used to do at the Queen of Hoxton, I used to run a club night called Session with the actor Matthew Horn, and we done that for 10 years. And I
Yes.
done the We Are Lizards club night at the book club with Scroob. Like we done that for ten
Right.
years, and
Yeah, so we have met. We must have over the years
probably,
met.
probably, but
Both of those things, I know Matt really well, and I know
yeah,
Alias really well.
and but
And I used to go to both of those things. So,
well, I ended up putting on a night. Like I met Andy Bell from Erasure, right?
oh, I
And
died.
and he was just the nicest guy, right? And I saw them in like 1980 at Milton Keynes Bowl, and I was just a
Mm.
complete fanboy. And anyway, I was chatting to him. I said, "Do you want to do a club night?" And he went, "Yeah, go on then." And so we done one off at the Queen of Hoxton, and he went, "Oh, would it be all right if like we played?" And I was like, "What?"
Uh,
And so I sat there and I watched him sound check sometimes "Love to Hate You" and "It Doesn't Have to Be." in an empty Queen of Hoxton, just sitting in the basement, just watching him playing it. And I was like, this is fucking surreal. This is Andy Bell from
I would
Erasure, who I was
die.
absolutely like blown away by it. But yeah, so when I saw your list and I knew, and I saw you had Erasure on there, I was like, because you're the first person that's ever picked an Erasure track on 700 of these shows.
No.
So
See,
yeah,
I mean, it was going to be Pet Shop Boys, but because I was thinking everyone does the same thing, they get the wrong Pet Shop Boys song. But I mean, I could literally, I argue with people about this.
right. Let me tell you what the best Pet
So,
Shop Boys song is, right? And see what your thoughts are, right? I think there's two of the best Pet Shop Boys songs,
yeah,
right?
me too.
Left to my own devices,
Oh,
right?
amazing, but not mine. Well, that's
That
all great, isn't it?
right, it is all great. Fucking Suburbia is amazing. Oh, hang on, now I'm thinking being boring. Oh,
See, I think Rent, but then I think there's
oh my
like a
god, oh
lot.
my god. Well, I saw them last year. I saw them in Scotland. I went up to Aberdeen to watch them, uh, but I saw them in Preston last year, the Pet Shop Boys. And whenever they play Rent, it gets a bit teary. That one is such a
Well,
heartbreaking
it's
song.
because I
That
feel like it's true for me because I feel like I've been treated like that by a lot of men that I'm the cash cow. And it's like fuck you. So I like it for that. I like to
yeah.
humiliate men with it. um, but yeah, no, I mean, but also that's another thing that reminds me of my mum as well. Erasure and Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Right, well, look, I've got a request here for you to put another track on the end of
Yeah.
today's playlist, and it's because you want to big up your other half's band, right?
I do. Well, I've just got a song out last week, so I feel like it's appropriate. But he's in a band called Luxury Apartments, which is a sort of British punk band. They're sort of like reminiscent of sort of 70s punk. There's a bit of a crossover into oi music, but it's far more sort of intelligent, and the scene sort of like it's sort of like a little hardcorey, but there's this new whole world of punk. There's bands like Idol, sorry, not Idols. There's bands like Rifle and The Chisel and Chubby and the Gang that have all sort of come out of this world. They're all sort of doing really well, and these gigs are selling out, and it's like a really cool new. Well, it's not a new scene. If you've been on it, you've been on it, but you're just seeing it growing and getting bigger and bigger. I mean, even people like High Vis, for example, are sort of. And last year I went to the Outbreak Festival with Turnstile, and it is a different type of music, but you can see now that there is that sort of like heritage punk that's coming back. And Matt's band, as far as I'm concerned, are making sort of the most fun, um, more trad punk out of the lot of them. And it's a great band and it's a great song. So it's called London Fields. And yeah,
And the band again is called
oh yeah, it's called London Fields, and the band are Luxury Apartments.
Fantastic. And if people want to follow them, are they all over the socials and stuff?
Yeah, so it's Luxury Apartments banned because there are many actual luxury apartments out there. So, which is very funny when you're reading his emails. People trying to sell him space. It's funny.
Well, look, we put together a little playlist to accompany the podcast, so we'll make sure all of them tracks on there and luxury apartments as well. Um, Gizzy, so the show is out now. Episode one, people can go and watch. By the time this comes out, is it a weekly show?
It's a weekly show. It's on Sundays at 7:30 over on our YouTube account. It's basically we've got a Messy Lunch channel, and it's really fun. It's a fun one to follow anyway because it's sort of like dissected into three ways. We've got our show, which is an hour-long show. It's filmed with three sort of cinematic cameras. It's beautiful. It feels like the trip that Steve, what's his name?
Coogan.
Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon did. It's got that sort of like feel where you're actually in having the meal with them. But there's sort of elements of it, Leonie, who I do it with, she's the old music editor at Time Out, and she's now, sorry, music editor at NME, and now she's the food editor at Time Out. So we've known each other for like 20 years, and it's just we sort of want to make it kind of fun. We're doing all these outset things, which are sort of somewhere between big breakfast, but we're also going to do an even bigger show, I think, that's going to come and do some live events with it.
Oh, nice,
Which we want to make like the Tube or the Word or something like that.
nice. Do you know
Yeah.
what? Like, I don't know. I feel that like there's no music TV anymore.
It's
Like,
completely insane. And also, like with everything that's going on politically, like the revolt is coming, and that revolt is going to be with great music And also, we're gonna, financially, we all need to get good telly again. Like, it's just there isn't good TV, so now we can all be in
Absolutely.
control of it, and we can put it on our own channels. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Right. So go follow Messy Lunch. I've noticed you've got your own Instagram account for that as well.
I do.
So
Yeah,
if it's cool, then we'll tag you on it when all the socials for the show come out so
thank
people can go
you.
and follow you. Gizzy, it's been an absolute joy, mate. Thank you
I
so
feel like
much
we were
for.
like kindred spirits.
Oh,
It's
mate,
quite
could
strange.
not
I need to
believe
hang out with you in real life.
you was having it the King down the brush. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
know.
I'm gonna press stop, but don't go anywhere.
Okay, darling.